Is this a hyperbolic title? Of course it is. As much as I don't care for hyperbolic titles, YouTube cares for hyperbolic titles. A majority of my viewers care for hyperbolic titles. Otherwise, all the hard work I put into this video
will be for naught.
Because no one will click on it. But here you are. You clicked. I'm going to give you what I promised, but it is still hyperbolic. Let me explain. We're back with another simple, but not basic, video. I've been doing a lot of these lately, trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. You understand. This video is what it says. We're talking about 7 fantastic, affordable fragrances. What do I mean by affordable? I mean, you can get these for $50 or less in different areas on the internet, and I'm going to have links to everything down below. You might be wondering, why am I making this video? Honestly, this video is in response to a number of comments I have been receiving on my videos over the past few months. I used to do affordable fragrance videos at least once every few months, maybe a few times a year. I've kind of drifted away from doing it because I don't really like to be a proponent in suggesting lots and lots of cheap fragrances that are easy to get, that can easily rack up and become redundant in your collections. In my opinion, that's no way to build a collection. It is completely unnecessary to buy a ton of fragrances of which most you don't care for or you like at best, and some of them you love. You already know what I'm talking about. You know the ones that are collecting dust. So that's why I don't really make these videos anymore, but I do have a lot of you guys asking me, hey, can you talk about more affordable fragrances? You always talk about these very, very expensive, niche, hard to get, pricey fragrances. So in some ways, this video is contradictory to my general philosophy. I don't really condone just buying a bunch of cheap fragrances blindly. Unfortunately, I do understand that many of these fragrances, when they are this cheap, cannot be feasibly decanted or sampled. So your only choice is to buy the bottle if you want to get it. If I can find some samples, I will link those down below too. But for the most part, these will be low impact to your budget, but I do have some quality here. I do have some uniqueness, and that's what matters the most to me. So with all that out the way, let's dive right into it. In no particular order, here at the 7th spot, this fragrance has been relatively hyped for years now. I'm only just getting around to it over the past few weeks, and I can't say it's phenomenal or that it lived up to the hype, but what I can say is for the price, which you can easily find it for under $20, it's really good. From Jacques Bogart, this is Bogart Pour Homme. Now, this is not going to appeal to all of you. I would say it's an easy fragrance to wear. I do think it's an easy fragrance to like, but it is particular. It's a particular type of masculine wearing experience. I did recently include this in a sweet and masculine fragrances video. You can check that out here. It falls perfectly in that category. This is clean sweet, clean, slightly soapy, fresh lavender. There is this tonka bean sweetness. It almost gives off this spicy, fruity vibe. This is like fall in a bottle. It's a beautiful daytime fall fragrance with great performance, if you can believe it, for this little eau de toilette. This is going to be in the realm of fragrances like Creed Original Santal. Doesn't smell like that, but if you can imagine that scent, almost the illusion of fruits with this clean, soapy, fresh sweetness, but this spicy, warm woodiness kind of backing it up, giving it some texture. That's what this is. Again, nothing super special, nothing phenomenal, but very good for what you pay. Bogart Pour Homme. This fragrance is definitely more suitable for the warmer months, so while they're still here, you could get this and enjoy it. But, you know, fresh fragrances can be enjoyed any time of the year. It just really shines when there's some heat. From Lalique, one of the best affordable fragrance brands that you can find, especially on discounters. They call this one L'Insoumis. I was going to include Ombre Noir, which I'm loving, and that's newer to my collection, but I've been talking about that one a lot more lately. This one hasn't gotten a ton of limelight, and I do enjoy L'Insoumis. This is uplifting without being overly citrusy. I highly appreciate that. This is basil, lots of fresh, green, spicy basil with this crushed sugar booziness, like a rum with a crushed sugar rim on the glass, with some woods backing it up. It's quite boozy. It's like a fresh tropical drink without any particular pop of fruits or again citruses. Really nice, especially for the price. Quite a unique scent profile, a little bit special, something that again shines with some heat, but I think you could pull this off on those slightly warmer days in the early fall. One to consider. L'Insoumis. I'm not going to say a whole lot about this next one. I've talked about it a lot on my channel. I actually did just mention it also in that Sweet and Masculine Fragrances video. So if you want a little bit more on it, then go check out that video. But Vintage from Varvatos is undeniably one of my favorite designer fragrances I've put my nose on. This is one of the longest standing bottles I have in my collection. I've had this bottle since I started this channel, and I only have maybe a dozen or less bottles that I've had since the beginning that I still have. This is one of them. Now, admittedly, I don't wear it a ton these days. It had its heyday. It's had a lot of limelight. It's kind of in a little bit of a resurgence right now in my taste, in my rotation, and in my content. I actually just wore this yesterday and really enjoyed it. Again, I'm not really going to describe the scent to you. I described it in detail in the past video, so to avoid redundancy, I'm just going to keep it moving. But check out that video if you want to learn more about what this smells like. But what I will say about it is that this is a perfect, mature but modern, gentlemanly scent for the masculine man to wear to work, or even on an evening out, a little bit more casual, not the most formal, maybe going out for a drink with guys, maybe even going on a date with your long-standing partner. This is perfect for that. Just smells classy, sophisticated, but has a little bit of an allure. That is John Varvatos Vintage. Here's another one that I've actually worn recently. I revisited this past week and was reminded how much I enjoy it. It's not a special fragrance, but the wearing experience for me, it just has an X factor that may not translate to you. You may not care about this as much as I seem to enjoy it, and I can't really explain why. Euphoria Intense from Calvin Klein. Honestly, one of the best from the brand, if you're asking me. I know a lot of people would recommend the gold, amber gold, whatever version that is. I still haven't tried that, so those of you guys who will ask in the comments, to answer your question, no, I haven't tried it yet. I'm not really in a hurry to go get it. I hear it's good. If it's convenient to try it, I'll try it. This is, to me, this fruity amber with ginger. There's a sweetness here. There is kind of a fresh, spicy zing, but not overly bright. This is definitely more darker, more for the fall. This does have a little bit of a synthetic oud in it. I'm not going to say it smells synthetic, but they do list oud as a note, and I highly doubt it's the real thing for the price of this fragrance. But for being relatively generic, it's actually very smooth. Way better quality than you would expect from a Calvin Klein. Super smooth, decent performance. Doesn't stick on my skin all night long, but I get a good 6-7 hours out of it. It doesn't radiate super strongly, but that's fine. I actually think it makes it a little bit sexier when it's not so loud. Perfect casual night out vibes here. Calvin Klein Euphoria Intense. You can see how we have a little bit of a diversity of fresh and more warm, but all these fragrances, honestly, even though maybe I didn't officially title this video in this way, they're all perfect for the upcoming fall season, which is my favorite time of the year, and I am so excited. But this next one, it's one that I got this past summer. It really kind of blew my mind apart as far as aquatics go. It's become one of my absolute favorite designer aquatics I've ever tried, and it does have enough oomph to last through the cooler months. This is Kenzo Homme EDP. It's in the air. This stuff is diffusive. It's strong, long lasting. Wow. Imagine the waves of the Pacific Ocean crashing on the shore on a gloomy, stormy day. You get the smell of seaweed and the salty air, the water. There's like dry, slightly smoky woods, and even a hint of something almost fruity, but it's like being completely engulfed by the power of the ocean. That's the best way I can describe this. It's a classy aquatic. It's a mysterious aquatic. Maybe not as dark as something like Oud Mineral from Tom Ford, but kind of leaning in that direction. But in my opinion, maybe a little bit more palatable for most people than that fragrance, but I love that one. Anyway, that's Kenzo Homme EDP. I got mine from FragranceBuy.ca. I bought it again earlier this year. Up next is a fragrance I have not featured in a video in probably a year or longer. I do really like it. It just kind of got lost in the shuffle as I continued to get more fragrances, but I'm glad I'm revisiting it this fall. I think it is a fantastic, classy, masculine fragrance for the evening time, especially for the fall. From Azzaro, we have Azzaro Pour Homme Intense. And I love that the color of this juice is truly dark. It's not the bottle, it's the juice. Perfectly represents the fragrance. This has the fresh barbershop quality of the original. Does not smell vintage, but definitely has more of an elevated sophistication to it, more of a mature gentleman, not just an age, but demeanor would really rock this. However, the Intense version, this is the 2015 version. I think they have an older one that was completely different. different, but this is boozy. I think there's like a sweet brandy note in here. There's also a good bit of spicy, warm cinnamon. And again, this just makes it cozy, warm, sweet, but still has this cleanliness. Again, that barbershop quality still in there. This is good stuff, guys, especially for the price. Very inexpensive. Azzaro Parfum Intense. And the final fragrance for this video, honestly guys, I'll be real with you, I haven't actually worn it yet. I've only tested it on my hand a couple times, and when I first did, I wasn't quite sold. There was something about it that was rubbing me the wrong way. Not that the scent wasn't well done, but with my taste, it was just some edge to it that I was like, I don't know. I had to keep telling myself, you're smelling it up close. The second time I tried it, I didn't put my nose into it. I just kind of let it waft to me, and I realized, okay, this stuff is beautiful, especially for the price you can get it. This is technically a niche fragrance from a niche brand. One of the few niche brands that you can get on discounters for less than $50 from Molinard. This is Patchouli. Now, spoiler alert, you've got to be a patchouli lover to enjoy this fragrance. And this is that damp, earthy, slightly dirty, but even slightly chocolatey patchouli. Imagine dark chocolate in clean, rich soil. It's the cleanest soil, but it is soil, but there's this beautiful, rich, almost creamy chocolatey feel. You've got a little bit of freshness up top, a little bit of geranium and neroli, and I think that does help to clean up the patchouli a bit. But the patchouli in the heart is present, but not loud. It really does make up the face of the scent, but it doesn't make the scent overwhelmingly patchouli heavy, if that makes sense. In the base, you do have some vanilla and some musk and sandalwood, so it is smooth. It is a little bit sweet, but it's damp. I will say that I like the dry down of this a little bit more than I like the opening. The opening's good, and I've gotten used to it, but I had to get used to it. But if you want to go out on a limb, you want to get something special. It is a little edgy. It's not going to be for everyone, but if you can be comfortable with a couple of sprays, wearing on a night out when you're dressed up a little bit more elegantly, I think this is a perfect supplement. Ideally, this is one that you'd sample first. So if I can find a sample, I will link it. Otherwise, you have been warned. I am really looking forward to getting to know it better. That is Molinard Patchouli. You guys asked for it. You wanted a cheaper fragrances list, and that was it. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you've tried any of these fragrances down in the comments. There will be links in the description to, again, try them all. Let's talk about it down in the comments, and thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.